Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and welcome to the August overview. And this is really going to be the one where we dive in and take a closer look at the soulmate situation. So difficult to say what will come out in this reading. Definitely, we saw yesterday in the general reading that there was a lot of change coming in August. Looks more or less from the outside, I summed it up at one point. I can't remember if it was on social media or on YouTube, but I summed it up at one point by saying that it looks pretty good from the outside, but it may not be super comfortable from the inside. Some of the changes that you'll be going through, but it looks like you have an opportunity to make a pretty big advancement this month as far as your learnings and your lessons. So let's go ahead and dive in from that soulmate standpoint and just kind of find out what messages want to come out for the month of August. It will be a general reading as always for this collective, so it's not going to resonate with everyone. But if it does resonate with you, then by all means, consider subscribing, maybe even check out some of the older readings so that you can get some of the other messages that may still be out there and may be relevant to you. So we're going to start by taking a look at the overall energetic and emotional backdrop for the month of August. And I like that we've switched over to looking at the emotional and energetic backdrop because I think it's given us a little bit richer of a reading. It certainly feels like it as I dig into the energy. So the overall energetic, we got a couple of cards. Overall energetic backdrop and emotional backdrop. Okay, so we have the Eight of Coins in reverse, starting to look familiar. Strength card in reverse, and the Queen of Wands in reverse. All of this feels very familiar, and I think some of the cards are the same too. I think we had a Queen of Wands in reverse, and yesterday I phrased it as something like you're moving forward and your get up and go twists its ankle, it's that sort of thing. There's something that happens here that I think I still think it feels more intense to you than it looks to the outside observer. And not to diminish it in any way, but that's what I'm getting. It seems like it's something that kind of knocks you off your game. You experience a little bit of that maybe during the month of August, but I still don't feel like there's a problem. I feel like you're prepared to handle this. Now, what I'm not sure about is the interaction with your soulmate. Okay, so we've got the Nine of Cups that came out. Do we want any of the rest of these? No. So we saw that Queen of Cups there, or I'm sorry, the Queen of Wands in the reverse again. It's reinforcing this one, but it doesn't need to be in as part of the reading. So we've got the Nine of Cups, which is just really talking about not so much not knowing what you want, but figuring out exactly where what you have isn't what you want, or figuring out where you maybe are a little bit closer to happiness than you had previously realized, because you get to take a step back. This evaluation, you get to take a step back. I remember in the main reading, the general reading, the one that we did yesterday, there was something about somebody that needed some assistance from you. And that may be part of what helps you to take that step back and look at the big picture. But you're able then to kind of superimpose, here's what I really want over here's where we are. And are they aligned or aren't they? You've got the World card here. Something is undone. It's incomplete, but it is also something that you're trying not to think about. I get the sense that this effort that you remember in some of the readings, it was coming out that we needed to find there was something that we weren't allowing to happen, that you weren't allowing to have happen in your life, that you were finally really seeing is needed and is necessary. It may be that you're trying not to think about it and that it is incomplete. But there's definitely a sense of something being incomplete here. So we've got this is part of what's incomplete there, and this is going to be shared energy with your person, but right now it feels so much like it's 90-10 yours that I'm just calling it yours. But we've got the Hanged One here, which feels a lot like part of whatever is incomplete here, but it's a perspective that you don't yet have that would kind of change things if you did have it. Yet there's this beautiful energy of not really spending too much time in fretting about it, not spending too much time getting concerned about it. There's a change that is happening, but it is, this is a different sort of change. This is something that is impacting you on a more, I don't want to say public level, but let's say visible level. So, not so much just something that is inside of you, like maybe this other thing is. This is something that's more visible. And it's really just a change. It's like a job change or some sort of change in the environment that isn't a big threat. Somebody would say that, no one would look at this and say, "Oh my goodness, I'm really sorry. You changed jobs." Like no one thinks that unless you had a really great job and now you have a bad one. But I mean, it's not that. It's just a routine change that doesn't evoke quite the type of emotions um, that you might otherwise, that you see with this up here with this internal thing. So there's a change that you'll be adapting to. Both you and your person will be adapting to. It sounds like might not be the same change for both of you. Let's see. I am all over the place with these cards today, but I've noticed that some days I'm better with it than others, and I guess that stands to reason. Everything else is kind of like that too. All right, so in this general energy for the month of August, we have some that really jumped out. So we've got this King of Pentacles. All right. So from a soulmate perspective, it does seem like there is something going on here. Now, I can't tell if this is the soulmate you've been dealing with or the one that is coming toward you, but somebody has it together. Now, remember that soulmate you've been dealing with has been presenting as a little bit more human lately, but we've been seeing some of those also very human cracks in the armor, chinks in the armor as well, as they try to employ those defense mechanisms with varying levels of success. So I'm not sure it's that person. I think we may be looking at the new person, but it is definitely like they should have their own incidental music. It's got a great feel to it. All of a sudden the scene changes. We've got a Five of Swords here that is very much undecided about whether it wants to be upright or in the reverse, because I'm feeling it both ways. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it sideways. And this one is about, well, do I jump into, I guess, things that it's about where you're going to put your energy. It's about what you're going to choose to, where you're going to plant your flag, what you want to fight for. Definitely there's kind of a be sure that you fight for what's really important and that you do things for the right reasons. But I think fight for might be the wrong terms. Maybe move toward feels more appropriate in this context. But it's a matter of not being able to, it's like with that crossroads and that decision we keep seeing coming out for you. You aren't going to be able to necessarily do both at the same time. Okay, this is not part of it. Five of Cups, Three of Pentacles. All right, this King of Pentacles energy is really working well with you, really working nicely with you. However, you are being weighed down by the Five of Cups, and so is your person. Okay, so you guys both have, independent of one another, something that is being resolved in you, but also something that you have to make a decision about. In their case, it feels more like a third party type of situation that they've been experiencing and that we've been seeing come out. And for you, it is also what would eventually be a third party type situation, it feels like, because I now think this King of Pentacles is not your person. I now think that this is somebody who actually feels like they have it together and isn't just on the edge of coming out of it. However, you're about to throw them into a bit of a tailspin. I see that. Let's get a little deeper into it. So this is going to be what else you need to know for the month of August. So you've got this new person coming in. You're throwing them into a little bit of a tailspin. And remember, this person is not even necessarily romance. This could be a friend that you meet them and just completely blow their mind. It's that kind of it's definitely something within them it has to make a hard left as a result of something, some kind of conversation that you have. So third party is the name of the game for the month of August. Not necessarily theirs. You've got a lot of energy that's happening in both of your lives that pull you in other directions. Remember in the general reading, we saw that there was somebody who was going to need your help. That would be third party energy for you on your side. If you are married, that is third party energy on your side. Whoever this other soulmate is that's coming in your direction would also count as third party energy on your side. Plus, we know your person also has what they've got going on, which is in many cases multiple things. It's a spouse or a long-term partner, it's work, it's kids, it's family members, all kinds of things. So we've got the Wheel of Fortune, though, saying that something is going to be, you're going to see change as a result of these third-party energies. So these third-party energies might feel a little bit like a distraction from one another sometimes, and in fact they are. However, they also have their purpose, and in a lot of places they're developing you guys to be even more than you are. And this is development that's going to be beneficial for you as you are moving back towards that self-reconciliation and reconciliation with one another. And with us still being in that Venus retrograde time frame, the self-reconciliation is this is a prime time for it. However, there's a tendency to stay away from some sort of truth, or not to be, this isn't a truth that hasn't been presented. This is a truth that has been, but for some reason is not being taken into consideration. It is also not necessarily being suppressed. It's more being ignored, I would say, or decide there's some decision about it that it's not necessary that you deal with it right now. I think it's more like that. But there is a need to deal with it right now because there's an overload aspect to the energy with you guys that I think makes it very difficult. Makes it very difficult for you to be successful in this change, and it just manifests as like a burnout. And we saw that yesterday and in the big picture too. It's not here comes burnout, definitely. It's watch out for burnout, because it's very possible under this energy you could have a lot going on and a lot of people kind of coming to you for something. Okay, we've got the Fool in reverse, a tendency not to jump. And this star card keeps popping out, but not wanting to be part of the reading, to talk about moving toward destiny and just kind of remember that that hope is still there. But it's super vague as to what the hope is, because it's not about a person. It's more about a state of mind. It's about a way that you have felt, but probably at the hands of your person, right? So it feels like it's about that person. We have the Fool here that is something that you're not jumping into, something that you're reluctant to jump into. I don't want to say you won't. I feel like that Ace of Swords and the Fool are somewhat related here. So there may be a realization that you need to make that ultimately brings you to a place where you are maybe ready to jump into something new, or you just evaluate it. I'm not convinced you should be jumping into that. It may be something that you evaluate and decide, this isn't the time, this isn't the place, I don't have enough extra energy or time for this. And that's legitimate. That's legitimate. But you've got something slowly blooming in you across the month of August with regard to the soulmate energy that just feels very warm. It has like the sun within it, even though it's pentacles. It's very specifically not major arcana, but it is the Ace of Pentacles. It's a slow, steady energy that it just feels like blooming is the right word. You know, it's blooming within you, and something very warm and positive. And it feels like it's between you, but not necessarily something that you need to be together to experience. So something that happens because your energies are close. Then we've got the Nine of Pentacles. This is emotional independence, a sense of emotional independence. That translates to just feeling a lot better about things. So there's something about this that kind of shakes you free emotionally a little bit and gives you some opportunities for that emotional independence. And it starts to feel like finding yourself and getting a little bit more confidence. And we see the confidence here. So the confidence rises, and all of a sudden you start to be able to separate the person from the way they made you feel. Okay, I would say that. And so you start to be able to say, this person, I'm not saying that at any point you thought they were perfect, but just realizing how human they are. And this is your person that you've been dealing with, realizing how human they are and how sometimes humans do make mistakes, or they pass up opportunities that they later regret, or they do things that don't make very much sense, and then not even to them, and then they come back later and say, I couldn't seem to make it work, and hopefully they come back quickly enough before you have more of this. I mean, I don't know, this is great energy. I wouldn't say before you have more of this. This is what you need in order to be successful with them anyway. This is that sort of judgment energy that prepares you for being able to be in a successful union. So that successful union could already be in existence, or the union could already be in existence. But one of the reasons that it doesn't do as well as you might hope is because you haven't made it through this piece that you're getting ready to go through here in August. But be aware that it is very much still an ongoing issue, an ongoing effort. There is still a lot happening even after August, although there's a lot that occurs during August from a soulmate perspective that looks like it moves you closer to your goals. It moves you closer to your development. I mean, your lessons, you're making it through more of these lessons. They're just not over. And yet you end up, I love this, you end up more prepared and ready more than ever for this bond. And you have kind of a full steam ahead sort of energy about it. It's very positive. There isn't really anything too negative about it. The only way it could be construed as negative is with this Six of Wands in reverse. If you looked at that and said, well, I wish it would hurry up. But that's part of what you're learning, is being able to kind of flow with it and flow with the from a time perspective. So there's no time in tarot, but we did ask specifically for what's happening around the August month. And so some of you may say, I'm already feeling like this is happening for me, and it has been for a week, and you came into this energy a week ago. And some of you will still be kind of coming into it as we end up August and move towards September. So everyone's on a different timeline, and we get that. And sometimes this is going to feel different. This confidence will feel different. You'll have to hit that confident peak, I guess, a couple of times before it starts to feel real and normal to you. That's kind of what the Six of Wands is also letting us know, that there's more to it. But this is, I mean, that this lesson goes on, that the path goes on. You're still in the middle of it. Haven't learned all the lessons. But I think we had kind of ascertained that anyway. But your soulmate is going through a glow up like this as well. And I think glow up really is the right word for it. The thing is, it's very third party centric. So both of you may spend a fair amount of time, even if you are in communication, the two of you may spend a lot of time kind of either doing different things, not in communication, that sort of thing. It could still feel pretty distant. So let's look at you. Let's look at what you should be focusing on during the month of August from a soulmate perspective, and given everything else that we have on the table. It's that judgment. It's actually connecting directly with this. So focus on this awakening. Focus on this warmth. This warmth is kind of like the bonfire that's going to help to make things continue for you. It's going to help keep things going, but what you're going to get going with it is this confidence, this emotional independence, this ability to look deeply into yourself and be totally good with what you see, even if it's not good. So there are places where you may need to forgive yourself. There are places where you need to potentially forgive others, and there's going to be a lot of making decisions without enough information. So the thing is, most of the people that I talk to in this collective are quite adept at making decisions without having all the information. But you're really going to be feeling that here. But you're going to be feeling like you can. So the Seven of Swords is that in the reverse is self-trust. It's knowing you're good with making decisions with less information. It's knowing that you're old hand at this. You are not seeing anything that you haven't really seen before. It's just a matter of how you want to manage it and how you want to handle it now. So you've got the Page of Swords in reverse, which feels a little bit like this Fool in reverse over here. This is something to focus on and something to look for. When you notice this, start to look for the truth that you think may be, that we think may be sitting in front of you, but that you're, for whatever reason, not focused on at this time. It's more or less being ignored, not like pushed away, but more ignored. Over here with the Six of Cups and the general energy, that's the one that's being pushed away. That's the one that feels like that that thing that needs to change, but you're reluctant to change, and it seems like trying not to think about it and not having the perspective to really understand why it's that important. This is different. This Fool and this Page of Swords feels more like reluctance to jump into something that it probably makes sense to evaluate better, even if your answer may still be that you're not going to go that direction. Let's see what else. Ooh, Five of Pentacles. You're going to be confronting some of your lessons this month around that fear of rejection and betrayal and abandonment. I frequently call it the big three. You're going to be facing some of that, but I don't necessarily feel like, I feel like there's a little bit of a buffer between how harsh these feelings can. Okay, everyone. So I found that I had just pretty much gotten through this reading and that the last few minutes didn't really record. So I don't want to lose it because it is the perfect representation of what is happening here in August, and the energy feels so right. I don't even want to try and pull this reading again. However, what I'm going to do is kind of bring the cards back out in the direction or in the way that they came out before, and go back through with you what was happening. So we had the Five of Pentacles come out, which said you had some opportunity for re-evaluating or revisiting the lessons of the big three. So that's going to be it's going to be the lessons of, well, rejection, that fear of rejection, betrayal, abandonment, something that you've been dealing with, but it's not going to feel as harsh this time around. It's something that you're seeing it from a little bit different of a perspective. And you've got this great energy to be able to, ooh, I'm right back in the flow. You've got this great energy to be able to do this. And I remember saying that I wish we'd seen this Page of Swords also come out in the upright, because that was going to be part of the impetus that you would need to get in and kind of really evaluate what's happening with you, and you're not going to be in the same place as you were the last time that you saw these lessons. And this is like, this glow up for you over here really sort of reinforces that. So you've got somebody coming in over here that is likely to, one of the things that came out kind of as an honorable mention as I was shuffling the cards and putting them back, there was a Knight of Wands that came out in the reverse, as if to say, hey, this person over here is going to give you some of that in and out type of behavior. They're going to give you a little bit of that. But here, you're going to be perfectly fine to deal with it because you're in a place where you've seen this recently enough and you're good at it. As far as your self-worth, you're going to determine that you actually do have the self-worth that is needed here to make it through with this, because you're more adept at dealing with that energy that doesn't move forward as quickly. Now here with the Ten of Swords, this is actively looking into the face of pain, but feeling very differently about it. You really are a very different person than you were when you dealt with the rest of this. So we've got the Empress that came out, and what I see with this one is you are truly ready for what comes your direction now, and you've already set your healing into motion. It's a beautiful feeling, because what I'm seeing here is a lot of you and your soulmate feeling back to back. You know, you're energetically back to back. That's where this warm, wonderful feeling comes from. But that's while you're doing all this, while you're manifesting all this, while still very much much in the throes of this overall experience. It is very third party oriented for both of you during the course of this month. But again, you have somebody, you have another energy that's coming in, getting triggered, treating you in a way that you've maybe seen before, and you saying, I'm actually okay with this, and I kind of recognize what I'm seeing a little bit. You're much more prepared to handle it. So, what I want to do as we go into the extended, and this is kind of what I was noticing as I watched the cards fall, the whole time I was thinking, all right, so tell me more about what's happening with this soulmate relationship. And it kept coming back to, here's really this glow up. This is what's happening in the energy, but you guys aren't necessarily interacting regarding this glow up quite as much. Now, some of you might be, but I would say it's definitely not the norm. It's very third party oriented, so they are learning lessons and making shifts with their own third party. And then for you, it's about you meeting this person. It's about you. There's a third party energy almost entirely made up of this thing over here, where we were seeing the death card and the tower card that kept coming up in the reverse because something wasn't changing that needs to change. That has I want to say devolved, but it's kind of evolved all the way into its own kind of third party energy. You are going to be thinking about it, looking at it, maybe even seeing it from a different perspective during the course of this month. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go into the extended, and we're going to take another look and just kind of ask a little bit more about where your person is with this. Because again, what we saw come out was that glow up that maybe both of you are experiencing, but let's look in on them and just kind of see what's happening more across the course of this month with the relationship itself. And then I also want to look more into this because we've had just this beautiful energy out there for you. It's been coming out for the last several readings. So we're going to take a look at that and see what else there is to see. The link is down below if you're interested, and I look forward to seeing you there or in tomorrow's reading.